With Pro Tools, yes, I do know some serial killers who produce on Pro Tools because I feel like you are an insane human to produce unless it's live. If it's all live,
I know some people gonna be offended by this.
I don't care. They know who they are. You're crazy as hell. You are using. It's like somebody making a plane out of a butter knife. Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
Technically, do it.
It takes a certain amount of psycho to say I'm going to start from scratch,
produce a
beat, everything from Pro Tools, and I'm like.
Hey, what's up? What's up? Back at it again. This is the Post Fader Podcast. My name is Calvin II.
Yo.
This is Clef Wonder. This is Jordan. So I have a confession to make. After a long deliberation, a couple months ago, I made the decision of switching my DAW. For those that don't know, that's a digital audio workstation. And I switched it from Logic to Ableton. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit just about DAWs and everything because, I have my mindset on them. I'm sure you guys do, and I'm sure maybe some other people have no idea what we're talking about here. But, for whoever you are in that spectrum, we just want to kind of chat. So what are your thoughts on that just overall?
My thoughts on...
Do you have a thought on Ableton versus Logic? You're
no.
I mean,
he's
gang. He's Logic. Apple. He was Logic before it was Logic.
I was Logic when it was eMagic.
Jeez.
But
what? I don't even know that was a thing.
It was a thing.
No, Apple bought Logic from it.
Yeah. Oh, eMagic. All right.
Yeah.
It meant electric magic.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like Logic 4 or something. 5 and 6.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, Logic old.
Wait, what made you choose that over like another DAW?
The real reason why I was with Logic is because when I started interning at this German studio in Cambridge, that's what they used. They used Logic and Giga Studio.
That's been the only DAW you've really ever used.
No. I mean, I've used all the DAWs at this point.
All the DAWs.
No, I shouldn't say
I'm
all.
about to say that sound truthy.
Yeah, it sounds fake.
It did. I was like, I don't think all the DAWs you've used.
It's just like I have downloaded all of them.
Okay.
I have at least allowed them to install AUs and VSTs and all of them.
Yeah. No, but
I've never really used anything but the big three. And then, it's just
what are the big three?
Thank you for asking that. I was like, hold up.
I know Logic and Pro Tools, but what's the third one?
I didn't want to assume what you meant by that. What is the big three?
The third one is Ableton.
Okay. What is? Hold up. It's
in my order of preference as far as what makes sense. Now, if I was making a list today of best representative of its community of professionals, not community of anybody like that wants to do music. And no offense to y'all, do your thing and have fun. I mean, as far as like where you're getting called to do work today, it's going to be Logic. It's going to be Pro Tools.
Well, Pro Tools is different, but okay, go ahead.
Then it's going to be Ableton. Then it's going to be
Studio One.
No.
Ooh, that was a good. I'm glad you mentioned. I don't even know how you knew that, but yeah.
No, it's going to be.
I've been around the block a few times.
I know what you're going to say. I know what he's going to say, actually.
It's going to be Nuendo Cubase.
Yeah, because you're a mentor.
Yeah, Nuendo Cubase is going to be 4 by a slim shot, only because there is just admittedly enough in professional studios of, FL Studios showing up. I have Studio One. I do believe that it's capable.
I think that Studio One is going to end up replacing Pro Tools. Pro Tools just got bought out basically by a big company.
Who?
I don't know. They just had a whole.
I know Native is buying everybody, but I don't know what's going on.
There was a company that has nothing to do with music. They just bought Avid.
And
so it might be.
Did they buy it for a subsidy or did they buy it? I
don't know.
Because
I just
they
don't
needed the money.
Is it a conspiracy? Because obviously in different DAWs, functionality is obviously different.
Yeah.
Is it a conspiracy that the actual sound of like the bounced product sounds different? Because I feel like I can tell.
That's not a conspiracy. No,
all right,
I can tell the difference between like a Logic bounce and a Pro Tools bounce and an Ableton bounce.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Bounce, for those of y'all who don't know, meaning like the exported all together
The MP3,
audio file.
the
The
MP3
MP3
wave
yeah.
file that you would get once what
Yeah.
you save as or whatever.
What they will say
Mm-hmm.
is that I've noticed more people in the trap community likes basically the front end of like the kick sound, like this, like, I don't know, it's like
The 808
300 to 500 hertz somewhere. I don't know. This is the story that I've been told. Don't quote me on it. That they love that coming out of FL Studio.
Yeah.
Versus like everyone that I know that really still messes with Pro Tools it's a vocal chain thing.
Yeah.
They like the vocal chain.
I love the way vocals sound out of Pro Tools.
Yeah, and it's a vocal thing. And the thing is, I can't hear it.
Yeah.
I have just made the designation at this point that I just don't like it as much. But the thing is, I do recognize that it is different, and I do understand why people like Pro Tools still for that. Everything else about Pro Tools, in my personal opinion, is just outdated.
Yeah, no,
It's
that's why when you mentioned it, I was like Pro Tools is great, but when I was talking about DAWs, I was more so talking about in a production aspect. So like, with Pro Tools, yes, I do know some serial killers who produce on Pro Tools, because I feel like you are an insane human to produce, unless it's live. If it's all live,
I know some people gonna be offended by this.
I don't care. They know who they are. You're crazy as hell. You are using. It's like somebody making a plane out of a butter knife. Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
Technically,
Like,
do it.
It takes a certain mind, like a certain amount of psycho, to say I'm going to start from scratch, produce a beat, everything from Pro Tools. And I'm like,
I know some dope Pro Tools producers.
Shout
out Beat Slayer.
The people I know that do it, it do be dope. I'll be like, dang.
Everybody on
like
Pro Tools. Everybody on Pro Tools who love Pro Tools, they're beasts at Pro Tools. They're beasts. Like, but
why would you want to do that? That's like somebody. That's the equivalent of somebody refusing to ever use a shortcut on a computer. They're like, nah. I'ma just.
That's
kind of me. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm definitely just like
it's just extra
file of edit.
Right. I mean, man, I can't.
No.
I do think that if Pro Tools went through a dramatic DAW change, the problem is the reason why they don't change too much is because they know that people that use it the most are just older.
Yeah,
and they're just like the worst thing to change about technology when you're consumer group is over a certain age is how it looks and works. These they are not doing that. Versus Logic doesn't really care about that because they're just like Logic's whole game is like accessibility to all.
Yeah.
Like, what is the most common things that everyone needs to do? And then anything else that pops up, we'll just add it along.
I will say Ableton to me though, from a production standpoint, does have a sound. I think that the thing I've observed, granted, as someone who doesn't produce, by the way, disclaimer.
You will one day.
And I will actually. You're right, and I have I've dabbled a little bit back in my Reason days. But y'all ever use Reason?
I tried it like 3 times. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Oh, Reason?
Yeah.
Oh, I just did a whole mental blank. No, my bad. My bad. I started on Reason. My bad. That was my cue.
Yeah.
I was like, "What's your Reason? What the hell is that?" And I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
I was a propeller. I was a propeller head.
I don't want to. I think a lot of like Tyler the Creator stuff was done on Reason. I think, and I might be super wrong on this one, but I think Day and Night was produced on Reason.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised when it came to Reason, boy. I was like so green behind the ears when I first started. Like I gave credit to Dennis Porter's one started me in music production.
My gosh! Shout out to
DP. But Dennis Mars for some reason.
This world.
Well, I was gonna say Ableton to me, I can tell the way producers chop up like vocal samples.
Yeah,
I feel like the way I see them do it just looks hella efficient and just like it's just smooth. I'm just like, okay, like DJ-esque producers, I feel like kill it in Ableton.
The thing about 2 of my mentors were using Ableton. And I got to see them use it up front. And I tried to use it at this time. This was like maybe 5-6 years ago. And I just wasn't gelling with it. But recently, it was a very petty reason why I was like trying to move out of Logic. There's just a way that you can like listen to the sounds before you drag it into it. And I started on FL and I was able to do this very easily with FL. And Ableton was like the only DAW where I can just easily audit the sounds without dragging it into the project. And I just really enjoyed that. And maybe I should have just, let it go, but I couldn't. And so Logic is great though. Honestly, I would tell people if usually when people ask me like, oh, what DAW should I get? What DAW should I get? If they're just starting, there's two things I usually say, like, okay, if you don't know anybody producing and you're just getting in and whatnot on it, honestly, just download Logic. It's $200. You get the most for the like least amount of money. It is the most like pound for pound. It is the best purchase you can make if you want to get into music.
Super user friendly.
That's if you want to add vocals or instruments. If you're just making beats, FL Studio. Just get a copy from somebody, buy it or lease it or whatever. FL Studio, just for beat making, you get to be so efficient. You can just do so much stuff in a very short amount of time with FL Studio. That's what I started on. What I didn't like about FL was that I personally don't enjoy recording audio into it. They don't make it as simple and as streamlined as every other DAW. Every other DAW is like on the track, press record. FL Studio is like on the track, save the track, fetch a fader up, then select a new track. Then it was just like all this, which seems like a small thing, but it really kind of just messed up your flow. And then they would save the audio file outside of the session file.
Right.
So it was like now you had these two things bouncing around, and it's like you just don't want to lose stuff. It's annoying. So I would just, usually record my vocals in Logic or somewhere else. So those are my things. I would say if you just have to get one and you don't know anybody, get Logic. If you're just making beats only, get FL. But other than that, the biggest thing that I'll tell people to get as far as your first DAW, whatever all of your friends are using. If all of your friends are using Ableton, get Ableton. And don't be a rogue. Don't try to be out here and do something. No, because you will grow so much faster if you have people you can directly call when you have an issue, and you can you're all learning and kind of like have this hive mind as far as like, oh yeah, I know this. Oh, I learned this. Okay, boom, boom, boom. That you will grow so much faster and everything. And honestly, you can make good music with any of these things. So that's the thing to keep in mind. But
I would say for sure the best, they always say, even this when it comes to like psychology and your personality and the characteristics of your personality, that you are comprised of like the 5 closest people to you that you spend the most time with. Yep. You end up being your version of whatever that
very true
morphing is.
Yeah.
But that's the same thing when it comes to DAWs. So when you're a tribe and people come around and they're all working in certain aspects, you're going to kind of lean towards it, because the thing is, I wasn't like glued to being like what do you call it? A Logic head at all. Like by the time we did Berkeley stuff, they were just giving it out and shit. So I'm like, but Q was. Yeah. Q swore by Logic.
It's a great program.
So like, but the thing is, as malleable as I was at that time, because I was all about efficiency and how things really, 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 really work. Had I not met Q at that time and I met G first,
oh wow,
I would have probably been a Cubase head.
Yeah,
because at that point
you might have more money.
Yeah, because because it's just that
crazy.
time. That time is just basically how I want to say it. I was really open to just like what's the best. Because at this point I had already interned. I've worked in like several different DAWs. In Berkeley was hung up on Pro Tools and shit. And I was like, I could do whatever. I like Logic, but at this point I had not invested like there wasn't a bunch of audio units with all this sound stuff. I didn't have a bunch of that stuff. I had like the basic, like I want to say, you had to buy complete if you were in the music synth department.
Oh wow,
complete for native. So, but back then it was like
you bought it back then.
Oh yeah, I've had them all.
You are grandfathered into this, man.
I've had complete like whatever the big collector's edition every 2 to 3 copies I get.
That's crazy.
Because they don't update it enough for you to buy everyone.
No, that's very true.
But they do make it affordable for you to do it because they want you to spend your money.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I would have been a Cubase dude or a Nuendo dude because here's the thing. To this day, I do not think there's nothing better. Like when I say like, what is the best DAW to do a one-stop shop from a basic like humming an idea to, you know, editorial playlist, 3-time Grammy nomination track, it's gonna be a Nuendo or Cubase. Like it's like
now what makes you say that? Because that's like I want to know this. I'm probably not switching anymore.
No. The reason why I say that is because not that no one. I don't want to say that none of these other programs, DAWs are, I should say, are not one-stop shops. It's the simple fact that it's built to ergonomically, I should say, represent every stage of the production process. And what I mean by that is you realize every DAW is better at a different DAW at something else.
Mm-hmm.
Except Nuendo and Cubase, which they seem to be as good as what's considered the best at that. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people
I'm taking your word for this, by the way. I don't know that to be true.
Basically, people who
like,
like production more in Logic, like for me, I like production more in Logic. I also like scoring more in Logic and stuff like that. When I use Nuendo for scoring and stuff like that, it's as good as, if not better, in certain features. When it comes to audio, when it comes to promoting and things like that, and that people really love in Pro Tools.
Yeah.
Cubase got that shit. They got that soundboard.
No, something that was interesting about making the switch to Ableton, and this wasn't like I was searching for stuff to be better.
Mm-hmm.
I recorded something, and when I played it back, it was a little shocking to me that it sounded exactly how it did going in. And I was like, yo, because I've been using Logic for a while. And I was like, oh, I'm maybe more used to not being as accurate. So I remember I pressed play, I'm like, hold up. That sounds like I just pressed record now when I was, so it sounds the same way going in, coming out to me. And that I didn't realize I wasn't used to that. And that was like, kind of like, dang, okay. I'm liking their algorithm that, you know, whatever way that they have to convert the sound going in. Because all of these DAWs, they do have a certain flavor and whatnot.
That's what I'm saying. I always thought that I was like, man, this is placebo, but like,
it's a real
I
thing.
do feel like every DAW has a different, specifically when it's bounced out.
Yeah, I don't think it's a thing to where if you let yourself be psycho about it, then yeah, it can be something that's like maybe more. And you know, I think what is it, 808 Mafia or whatever? He has this whole thing. He was up there like, man, FL sounds different on the Mac. I don't use no FL Studio on no Mac. It's a PC thing. And I, you know, look.
Oh my God, I heard that.
Yeah, that was funny. But I low key, but FL was my first thing. And like, so I do believe him. It was kind of built from that thing. And yo, I swear to God, nobody remembers this, but it used to be on the FL website, like, or Image Line. They used to be so against to moving over FL Studio. Like, I wish I would have.
We used to just call it Fruity Loops, right?
Yeah, no, that's what it was called.
Yeah.
But like, you know.
When did it become FL Studio?
Just a while ago. Because like, this Fruity has a different connotation.
It's like.
Well, hold on, let me finish the other thing first.
Do that.
There was this thing literally on the Image Line website to where they had a whole article saying, from the company, they were like, we will never switch and have it on Mac. We're not going to do that. You guys keep asking for that. Now look at them. Now look at you. Now all on Mac because you wanted that Mac money. So now you're doing it. But they used to be very much against like sliding over FL. It was just like, nah, we're PC for life and everything. And I was like, why do y'all care so much? Just encode it. Who cares?
I was sold on Logic when I met y'all. Yeah. I had never used Logic. I had only used Pro Tools up until that point.
Oh, wow.
And I was trained to track vocals in like the tried and true, like get it all in one take. You know what I'm saying? So I remember sitting down and doing like 9 different takes. It's like, nah, it's gotta be straight through, solid or whatever. Yeah. And then when I met y'all, I was introduced to comping. You know, y'all had your methods or whatever. And I just remember being like, wait, what are you doing right there? Wait, that part sounds different than the other one. And I was like, oh shoot. You can just select the good part of that take and the good part of this take and just put it together. And that's when I was like, oh, this is better. Okay,
no,
gotcha.
that was definitely a big thing that like Logic had. Like to give credit where credit is due. You know, Ableton just added comping like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So all this time, not that you could not comp, but it wasn't like, as efficient. It wasn't like a real comping system like on Logic where it's just you just kind of drag and drop the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like wasn't simple like that. So now it's like you can kind of stay in Ableton from beginning to end of a production, and that wasn't.
Yeah, they
necessarily always
graduated.
the case.
They graduated.
Yeah, which is like so far I'm liking it and whatnot. It's because as far as recording, as long as I'm not in recording audio into FL, I can use any DAW. But production wise, I'm really like, to me, Ableton kind of feels like a grown up version of FL Studio. But ultimately, like whatever DAW you're using, the goal is just to make music. So don't let any limitations stop you. And if you're around people that are using one DAW, just use that DAW and ask them for questions. You will grow so much faster.
Be compatible.
Yes.
Be compatible. Like
Compatible.
the thing, don't just fight it because it's like, I made that DAWs
mistake.
is a terrible hill to die on.
Man.
Because maybe back in the day you got a better argument 10 years ago. But at this point, man, it's the difference of like, if you're talking about a scale of 100, they all like 93, 96, or 90. Like it's just like they all like got to that point because music has just changed. Music has just been like it is gone to the super digital to the point where that's an easier sound to manipulate.
Yep.
And
Basically.
make it sound like it's not like you're not going to get these SL sounds anymore. But guess what? We're not in the era of SSL anymore. So we're somewhere else. So
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Mic drop.
Yeah.
Calvin switched to Ableton.
I tell you.
yeah.